Oh, can you hear me? This is a test.
Hey, can you hear me, Neil? Neil, can you hear me? I suppose that answers the question.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay. Appreciate that, Tom.
Back to the bedroom, back to the spare bedroom.
Neil, can you hear any of us? All right, I'm gonna shoot Neil a text. Oh,
All right. So sorry, I didn't have my microphone, my earplugs in. Can everyone hear me?
yeah, we were just finishing saying a lot of nice stuff about you and you missed the whole thing.
It's all on tape. We're being live streamed. So I'm going to start the recording now at 6:30. Roseanne is trying to join right now. We do have a quorum, so we can get started.
Roseanne is on now.
Great. So I'd like to, so we're recording, we're live streaming. I'd like to make a motion to open the December 16th, 2021 Town Board as Police Commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we're going to be getting some calls in later on, I think, but we have quorum now. So I'd like to please ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to
to
the flag
of
of the United States of America
and to the
and to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice.
justice for all.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I'm gonna let a few more people in. And I'll hand it over to you, Chief. Do you have any announcements?
Sorry about that on mute. I just wanted to thank the Cub Scouts that showed up at our last meeting. I came into work yesterday and found a nice poster size thank you on my door. So really nice of them. And I thought they were the hit of our meeting last month. So just wanted to say thank you.
Certainly better with the pledge. It was fun.
I thought their public comments were also better than most.
Okay. Any other announcements?
That was it.
Just so that, the town, we're going to make these announcements later, but just, the town offices will be closed. Or are we December 24th, the day before Christmas, and New Year's Eve day, since both holidays fall on a Saturday for the union contract, we're closed. That's all I have for announcements. I'd like to open the floor. Go ahead. Sorry. Oh, Dan, yes, a very important announcement. Go ahead.
So I just wanted to let everyone know that next Wednesday at the New Paltz Community Center from 5 to 7, we're going to be distributing free COVID at-home rapid tests. So this is an allocation that we've been given by Ulster County to do. Every municipality in the county, along with the school district has received 2,100 kits as well too. There are 2 kits per case, by the way, as well. So for individuals who need it, we come on by and pick one up. And I just want to be clear, because I know this has been an issue in some places. This is to pick up a kit. This is not to get tested if you have ailments. If you have symptoms, you should not come to this event. But if you would like a free kit, please come on by and we'll hand them out while supplies last.
Are there any plans, Dan, made for folks who do not have transportation and can't pick up a kit themselves but would like one?
There is a number of community groups who have also been given kits. I know that Family of Woodstock and New Paltz, for example, have them, a number of local churches and other not-for-profits. And I believe the Ulster County Office for the Aging as well has been coordinating with residents too. So I would say if there are residents who are in need of one, who live in the town or village and are unable to pick one up, that they should reach out to town offices as well. I know from talking to Neil, we want to give out a good amount, but we also want to keep some back for individuals who find themselves in those kind of circumstances so that we can make arrangements.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the goal is to get as many of them out there as quickly as possible so that people have access to them and that can use them to, stay out of trouble and stop the spread. So that's all I have. Thank you, Dan, for reminding me of that. And with that, I'd like to open up the floor for public input. If people have any comments, please.
Neil, Diana has her hand up.
Can Dan just repeat that date and time for the testing to pick up from the youth center?
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll repeat it again when the regular meeting comes. A press release went out today and it's also on our town's Facebook page, but it's going to be next Wednesday at the New Paltz Community Center from 5 to 7.
Thank you.
Yeah, the town and the village each got 300. The school district got 1,200. And so I think they'll be distributing them to students and families who need them as well. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. But, if you have kids in school, I would say try to get one from the school. We only have 600 for the people who don't have kids in school. So that's all I have to say. And with that,
Neil, I'd be willing to make some deliveries on Wednesday for folks who do not have transportation and spend part of my day doing that. If you want to let me know about people who might need that delivery.
I'm happy to do the same.
I'm happy to do the same too. It's Alex.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I guess we'll put it up. Maybe people can send an email in to assistant at Town of New Paltz, and we'll try to divvy those up between the people who want to make those deliveries. So it's Edgar. You have a comment.
Yes, a question, a quick question. Will there be a liaison from the town board to the new police commission? And also, can you make some brief comments about the progress in appointing the 5 new police commissioners? Thank you.
Yeah, I would imagine there would be a liaison for that board. We have not started reviewing them yet. Since we have a new town board member who's coming on in January, we thought it would be more appropriate to wait until then to start reviewing and interviewing people so that nothing against David, but we also want to make sure that this new town board member is fully involved in the process and has the opportunity to weigh in.
Are you still taking applications?
Yep.
Thank you.
Tom, go ahead.
Tom, you're muted.
Okay. Evening, everyone. Yeah, basically, I want to acknowledge the steps that Chief Lucchese has been taking to increase transparency of the police department, police operations. 2 things in particular. He has been posting draft policies and draft regulations on their website, and just to let him know that somebody's reading that. I wanted to acknowledge the matrix, the discipline matrix that the Reform and Reinvention Committee had also asked for. It's a substantial piece of work. I mean, I guess it's largely based on what was done in New York City, but it also reflects a large piece of work to adapt it to New Paltz circumstances. In particular, I wanted to recognize that it includes discipline for the failure of officers to intervene in cases where they observe other officers abusing their power, improperly using violence or using force. There's also a policy there, and there's been others there, to conform to state requirements for background checks and follow up on abusive cases. What's interesting about those changes is that they also highlight some underlying problems in the state's systems for tracking officers who have had problems in the past. That's not really recorded in state databases. The police department is sort of forced to use it as a kind of workaround to identify officers who may have left things out of their resumes. The other thing I wanted to recognize was the 14 months of traffic stop data that is now on the website. We discussed this extensively at yesterday's conversations with the police. There are issues with the data, sort of technical issues, and hopefully some of those can be resolved. There are some things that I'd kind of like to see that might enhance the value of the information, the location, the cause of the stop, the location of the stop, possibly some identification of the officer, not that the officer should be named by name. Oh, that's my gong. Let me just finish the sentence.
Sorry, I'm just trying to stop it now. Go ahead.
But somehow to identify the officer by code, so that some kind of aggregation can be done by to identify any negative trends. What is interesting about the data is it is beginning to show some interesting trends, and I hope that we can continue to get that data out there. Chief Lucchese is right; he's leading the charge on some of these transparency items, and we in fact are working with other county departments to bring them into line. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other anyone else like to make a comment? If not, we will move on to the first item. Trying a new thing here. We're going to try to go into a Zoom room. Year and a half into this, I'm still learning Zoom, so I'm going to. I guess we'll put everyone in the waiting room, and then we'll go into executive session. That means we can continue to live stream, and we don't have to disrupt that. So hopefully that will work. But the other people could help me put people in the waiting room, except for the phone number, because that's Alex, everyone. So. Okay. I think there'd be an easier way to do this. Okay, it's just us now. I'm going to try to put you guys into the waiting breakout room. Once you're in there, if someone could invite me in so I can join you there, I will. Okay. You guys just got to invite me in here. Hey, Dan. Ah, okay. Yes. No, maybe because you're all hosts as well. I did it the other day, but I had to do it on my phone. Can you, let me call in and see if that will, or we can just do it all on, being streamed now anyway. So why don't I leave the room and we can do executive session in the other room. Hold on, I can just look at speaker. Yeah, I see it.
Screen. Hey, look on the TV. It's me. I'm upset.
Recording progress.
I just got to figure out how to get everyone out of executive session.
I think we're out.
Oh, good. Okay.
Got myself out.
Okay, great. So make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Hi.
Okay. That I'd like to hand it over to you, Chief, to go over the monthly report.
Thank you, Supervisor. So in terms of the monthly report, just one of the things I wanted to note, starting out with the detective's monthly report, just of note, the number of hours spent on discovery. So Detective Sergeant Sutton has been handling our discovery requests here. This month it was 64 hours. So he's averaged, over the last 3 months, it's probably averaging about 70 hours a month on that. Just something we want to keep an eye on, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the conversation about the grant from the DA's office. But in terms of detective cases, just reviewing the 3 that were highlighted on the report. The first was an assault that occurred outside one of our establishments in the village. The individual involved in this was arrested, charged with an assault. He was actually out pending sentence on a previous felony assault that occurred here in New Paltz. And he was, the case was presented to the district attorney's office. He was charged with the second assault and actually remanded to state prison as part of an expedited sentencing. This is also the individual involved in this was an intimate partner violence intervention program offender as well. So we worked closely with the DA's office on this and were able to get a quick resolution with that. And then the other report that or case that's noted in here, just in regards to the death investigation that we had an 8-year-old that was found unconscious and unresponsive in town last month on the 27th. Our officers were out there handling that along with members. We were assisted by members of the SUNY Police Department and the New Paltz Rescue Squad. A difficult case for everybody involved. We did work that and with the Ulster County's Child Advocacy CAC Center, Child Advocacy Center, excuse me, and the Ulster County Medical Examiner's Office. No foul play, but just to highlight some of the issues that our officers encounter, cases that our officers encounter that do affect them. So. And the last I just wanted to talk briefly on is a recent incident. It'll be reflected in next month's report, but just regarding a social media post that was made that we investigated related or made by some students in the New Paltz Central School District. And I know that this garnered a lot of attention on social media, and I attended last night's Board of Education meeting just to speak to the Board of Ed a little bit about the process. I'm not here to speak specifically about that case or any of those cases, but just I did not know if if the commission had any questions. But just how we handle these things is when we become aware of them, we begin an investigation. We gather whatever information we can, make notification to the school district so that they're aware of it, and then they can take the necessary action, the appropriate action that they have to take. And we work with them. We work with partners in law enforcement. We work with partners in the mental health profession to really just to try and assess the credibility of the threat and the ability of the thoughts or the mindset of the individual and the thoughts and the ability to carry that out. In this most recent case, I just I know it caused a lot of uproar. I just want to say that I think that the school district did the right thing by making notification and trying to keep parents informed. I think that we worked closely with them in this case to exchange information. But as I said last night, and we do go out of our way to protect the privacy of the people involved in these cases. There are things that we cannot publicly talk about. You're dealing with juveniles. You're dealing with people that are in sometimes vulnerable, embarrassing situations. And, most importantly, we're dealing with kids. And I mentioned last night, we've given them the car to this powerful tool, the internet, social media, but we haven't given them a user's guide and taught them how to use it. So, we have to be careful about, we have to investigate every threat. We have to take it seriously, but we also have to be careful as to, how we handle those situations. And so I didn't know if the commission had any questions about that. And I also wanted just to say it publicly because I don't know how many people tuned into last night's Board of Education meeting either. So.
I really appreciate that update, Rob.
Moving on, we had, I'm sorry, James, somebody had something else?
No, I just said me too.
Okay. We had 3 letters of commendation. The first is a department-wide commendation. It was received from the New Paltz Rotary Club. Just wanted to thank us for our efforts during the Halloween parade and keeping it a safe and successful event. Just thanking us for helping coordinate the traffic control and everything else that went into that. So the next commendation was addressed to Officer Claude, who had responded to an alarm call at a residence here in town. And the person had written and just wanted to first of all apologize, but just thank them for making them feel safe and just the kindness that they exhibited to them during the situation. And the third compliment or commendation was from a resident who wanted to thank us for our assistance with their child's struggling addiction, and just how they had called upon us on several occasions, and that we were able to provide them with comfort and compassion, showing the comfort, compassion, understanding, and helping provide them with some information, and that the person here seems to be doing well, and just wanted to thank us for all of our efforts.
Good work. Thank you.
So we have 2 incidents of involving uses of force. The first incident occurred on November 21st, 2021. You have 2 reports for this. There are no subjects identified with this because the officers had just deployed their pepper spray. This was another large fight or altercation that took place on Main Street in the area of Plattekill Avenue. It was subsequent to an assault inside one of the establishments involving somebody who was struck with a beer bottle and their head cut open. In this particular case, the 2 officers have deployed or brandished their pepper spray, their OC spray, and threatened to use it on a crowd. So we received word, the sergeant reported this to the lieutenant. We reviewed the reports, reviewed the sergeant's reports. In this particular case, I handled this review and reviewed all the body-worn camera and in-car camera video that is associated with this, as well as some surveillance video. And what I would say here is the members, along with members, this fight was large enough where we called in members from the SUNY New Paltz Police Department, the New York State Police, the Sheriff's Department, and I think 3 other local agencies that responded to assist us. You had about 100, 150 people that were in the middle of the street fighting. And 2 of our members unholstered and threatened the use of their OC spray against a large crowd. Based upon our investigation, both of these defensive actions comply with our department policy and training. The only thing I would say, or I would implore, is for the commission to come look at this video. I was disgusted. I mean, we have two members trying to attend to the victim of the assault, and they're getting accosted. There were members from the state police who made an arrest that had to be escorted to their car because people from the crowd were physically, and verbally, threatening them. This was another large altercation, and just, I'm proud of the composure that our people showed. It's disheartening, it's disgusting. I mean, it is where I'm at. So I would ask, and I'm going to say the same thing with the next video, or with the next use of force. This was an incident, a use of force that occurred on November 27th, 2021, about 2:50 in the morning. The individual involved in this case was a 22-year-old female, white female, 5'7", 125 pounds, small build. This person, there's 4 reports because it involved 4 officers. This individual was removed from one of the local establishments, and then attempted to get back in, attempted to initiate a physical altercation with the staff. Officers on scene took this person into custody, who physically resisted at the scene, and continued to resist in the station. It was initially 2 officers who were back, and then 2 of our supervisors came back to assist. In this particular case, the uses of force are all physical direction. In terms of the initial handcuffing and taking the person into custody, and then trying to get this individual into the police station as well. The initial officers had to use a arm bar to take this individual into custody, gain control, and then place them into handcuffs. And then once out at the station, they had to use physical direction again to get them inside the station, and then trying to get them secured on the bench in the station. I would definitely ask that you come. The one part of the video, one of the body camera videos that struck or stood out for me was one of our members is trying to just handcuff this individual, and this person bites them in the arm. And you hear our member react, and there's pain, but the sound in their voice is just like, "Are you kidding me? Like what? Like enough is enough is enough." This is why I am concerned about our people. I had the pleasure of working the following weekend, and dealing with an individual here in the station who did not want to provide any information, who tried damaging property in the station. But this is what they are seeing, this is what they're encountering, and they're doing everything that we ask of them. But if you get a chance in the next couple of weeks, I would come in. I would love to show you these 2 videos, because especially the second one, and you can hear the sound in this member's voice, and it's disheartening. It really is. So I don't know if anybody has any questions about the use of force reports on either one of these. In this second case, we looked at all of these, and again, all of the use of force, the actions of all 4 members. Looking at this was within our department policy and in compliance with department policy and training. So there were no issues related to any of these uses of force. And if there's no questions, I don't have anything else in the monthly report for this month. That would be it.
Great, thank you. So the third item is a motion to refer to the town board for approval the promotion of Amanda Snyder to full-time police officer effective January 1st, 2020 at the salary and step outlined in the collective bargaining agreement. I don't know if Chief wants to talk about that at all, or if there are any discussion.
I'm happy to second the motion.
Any discussion, questions for the chief? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, Ed. Aye.
Aye.
Can I just ask before we go on to number 4, did we need to come out of executive session and make take any action?
I don't think you did.
I think I made the motion to come out of executive session, but it might have been when we were in the middle of coming
No,
out of the.
I know we did that, but do we need to announce any action after that? No?
Action was required based on that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, number 4 is review and a motion to refer to the town board for approval the hiring of John Miller as full-time police officer effective January 1st, 2020 at the salary and step outlined in the collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Chief, want
to just to let you know, John is a 2017 graduate from the Highland High School. He's a 2019 graduate from SUNY Ulster with an associate degree in criminal justice. He's currently working part-time with the town of Ulster. He's on our residency list, and he will. We would be hiring him to fill one of the current vacancies that we have. No issues with his background, and we look forward to bringing him on board.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Neil, Alex is saying that she thinks she might be muted. Is that something you have control over? Or, she's calling in.
I've asked her to unmute, but as all the co-hosts.
Is it *9 or star something, *6?
I just unmuted her, and I think she's.
You with us, Alex?
Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, because I was talking and no one could hear me. Okay.
Oh,
thank
sorry.
you.
Did you have something you want to say, or did we kind of move on past that point?
I just had a really quick question for Rob about his reports. In the first of the 2 cases that he spoke about, when he said there were many people involved, were these students or was it people at the in the establishments late at night?
There were people from the establishment that were in the establishments or in town late at night. I don't know how many were students and how many were not.
Oh, okay.
But in the in the use of force incident report, usually it states if the person is a student or not. I mean, having looked at them for years now, I think there's maybe been one the entire time that I've noticed that was a student. It's pretty rare that it's a student that is the person that the report is about. I'm not sure if they're in the crowd or not, but anyway. So so we did number 4. Now number 5.
Can I say something about that too? I'm sorry. Alex, you do bring up a good point, and it makes me want to ask more about it. So just because it is, it's a public safety issue, if this is something that people are talking about and concerned about it, it's nice if we know a little bit more and we tell others at this meeting. Was there something that that caused the fight? Is that something you can share if you know?
There was an assault that took place inside the establishment. A beer bottle, two beer bottles were thrown at an individual in there.
You said that, yeah.
And then a fight breaks out inside. The initial officers made contact with the victim of the assault, and they're trying to render aid to them. They're immediately swarmed by a large crowd. The secondary officers are trying to give them some room to work, and then they begin calling for assistance from outside police agencies. And then the crowd on the street grows and grows, and fights continue.
It's not that everyone in the crowd was fighting. It's that you said that there were many people in the crowd.
It was a large crowd, not that every single person was fighting, but there were fights breaking out all over the place. And, there'd be pockets of fights here, pockets of fights there, and we're trying to clear the street. We're trying to make sure that the rescue squad can attend to the victim securely. And that was an issue. And as I said, just multiple fights were breaking out.
Robert, are these folks, so the assault happened inside the establishment? And are these folks
Yes.
being tossed out by the folks in the establishment because they're fighting in the establishment and they're tossed out on the street for you to deal with? Is that how it goes? Or is it like they got a problem and you should be going in? Is it like, is there a problem with like, hey, you know what, everyone out of here, and then it's just a fight on the street instead of, you know what, that was created inside your establishment, let's deal with it in there? I mean, how do you see that?
We don't really ever want to go into the establishment. We don't ever, if we can avoid it. You're bringing now, you're getting officers to go into an establishment with. Now you're bringing a gun into that closed environment, with multiple people. It's not, we want the establishment to deal with the people, and more often than not, that's they'll turn the lights on, they'll have people, remove people from inside, and then we kind of deal with that. And then it's a matter of trying to clear the streets. In this case, as I said, two members trying to render aid, and that was made difficult by everybody else. So,
just a statement, and it's something I've said before. And I definitely would say, Rob, this is a question. You're seeing a lot more of this kind of like group fighting, group mob kind of thing. I mean, I don't remember these kind of reports from 2 years ago, 3 years ago about like, hey, we're now like have to threaten a whole crowd with pepper spray. It's like, that's like regular. We're talking about that every meeting now, like groups of people accosting officers and things like that. Both of these events take place. Well, first of all, I'd love to hear your comment on that. But I would like to say both of these events happen 3 o'clock in the morning. Our bars don't belong open at that hour. I don't know how we change what's going on, whether tavern owners can close. Normally, our bars do not belong open at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We are going to have a problem. It's going to come down on our officers, and we're going to be fighting lawsuits because they're going to try to protect themselves. That's what's going to happen.
we are seeing a lot of this. We're trying to work with the establishments to curtail it, and that, and working with other partners in law enforcement just to make sure that we have an adequate presence, out on the street, and that we can, we handle these. In this particular case, it had every cop in the county, and it was large. And you're dealing with the public that's angry, and I said previously, you're dealing with a public that I think is emboldened to physically challenge police officers. I mean, what I saw with this, two troopers trying to escort a person in custody to a police car, it was disconcerting. What you saw. So.
Yeah, so number 5 is motion to refer to the town board for approval, the acceptance of a letter of resignation from Brianne Quigley.
Second.
Any discussion on this? I'm sad about this. Yeah, it's a loss, I think, for the department and the town. So.
Sorry to see her go.
And I would definitely wish her well in whatever she does next, and I'm sure she'll do it with the same integrity and ethics that she did in this role as well too. And I'm sad to see her go.
Thank you, Brianne.
I'll be sure to pass that along. It is sad.
Any all in favor? And what if we deny it?
I thought about that.
I think Chief has probably tried to deny it several times.
So motion to refer to the town board for approval, an acceptance of a letter of resignation from Ryan Bolson.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Aye.
Number 7 is review New York State Attorney General's Office memo regarding law enforcement misconduct investigation office and revisions to policy 25.1 internal affairs to comply with New York State Executive Law 75. Turn it over to you, Chief.
So this is really just an advisement because it's something we have to do. Executive Law 75 was revised, so it created to establish a duty on law enforcement agencies and their employees. And specifically Section 75 5B requires that the chief of police or the head of covered agencies refer to LEMIO, which is the Law Enforcement Misconduct Investigative Office's acronym, instances in which the covered agency has received at least 5 complaints from 5 or more individuals related to at least 5 separate incidents, involving a certain officer or employee within 2 years. And so with that, we revised a section of our policy. The other part, just to, in that I was in the accompanying material, is that it does not supplant or supersede our internal affairs or our internal affairs processes and for reviewing and investigating complaints. In fact, it does not relieve us of our responsibility to thoroughly investigate these matters. It just means when we have something that qualifies, that we have to send it up to them for their review and then be available to answer any questions. So we revised our internal affairs functions policy, specifically letter E, the chief of police responsibilities, to include making notification to the New York State Office of the Attorney General. It's just explaining what we need to do just directly from the law. I didn't know if anybody has any questions related to that, but I just wanted to make you aware of this policy change and the impetus for it.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 8 is Ulster County District Attorney's Office Discovery Grant Reimbursement. Talk about that at all.
Yeah, so the Ulster County District Attorney's Office received a grant to try to reimburse police agencies for discovery expenditures that were incurred between March of 2020 and April of 2020 and March of 2021. We applied for reimbursement for about $1,500 worth of computer-relaid materials, hardware, and about $4,400 in personnel costs. So I'm in the midst of just getting specific information to the comptroller's office, and then so the supervisor can then review and we can sign and get that up to them. Just again, this is something that's only going to incur more costs for us as we move on. Right now we have to supply a significant amount of material to the DA's office for any misdemeanor or felony arrest before they can even move forward with it, and even talking about a plea agreement. So there's time restraints or time restrictions on this, or constraints, on this. And so it is something that we're dedicating more and more time to, especially as the courts have begun to open up a little bit more. I don't necessarily know, Supervisor, if there's anything the commission needs to do now, but I was going to leave that to you. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I don't think so. Just kind of an update to tell them where we are with that. Number 9 is the review recommendation of the Reform and Reinvention Committee.
Yep. So this recommendation is that all new police officers who have not successfully completed the academy should be enrolled in a program akin to the Dutchess County Law Enforcement Academy, which subscribes to an updated training program that is diversified with culturally responsive training, an inclusive or holistic approach for modern day law enforcement practices. The Dutchess County Training for Law Enforcement, bear with me. Officers is collaboratively working in the context and guidance of President Obama's Task Force on 21st Century Policing, as are other departments around the state in response to EO 203, on current practices of engagement. 21st century policing consists of a robust training program that requires prospective police officers to identify, examine, and address their own internalized, implicit, and explicit biases. The 21st century policing promotes and requires effective police engagements with the community, which will allow for positive relationships to develop. Police officers will learn to effectively listen and communicate with all community members and learn to demonstrate empathy. Policing in the 21st century will build community trust, legitimacy, transparency, and accountability. We believe this training will foster the professional development of ideal officer. I don't have a problem with utilizing or sending officers to, as far as my concern isn't necessarily sending officers, but I don't want to abandon the Ulster Police Academy. I'm not sure, what information the committee used in making this recommendation. But the New York State Department of Criminal Justice sets the training curriculums. There are certain differences in the Dutchess County and the Ulster County academies. The first is that the Dutchess County is a full-time academy for sworn police officers only. So right now, Ulster County works, the Ulster County Academy is a program, has what they call phase 1 and phase 2. So, and it's run in conjunction with Ulster County Community College, where an individual can attend the police academy, phase 1 of the police academy, earn college credits towards an associate degree, and then approach a police department like ours and ask for to be hired and sponsored for phase 2, which is firearms and a bunch of several other trainings, so that they can then obtain their certification as a police officer. The other part of it is that when we talk about the academies are run by the individual. Instruction is provided by the individual agencies that attend those academies. So when we talk about whether it be Ulster or Dutchess, you're talking about who your instructors are. So for example, when we send someone into the academy, Lieutenant Butler, Detective Judge, Detective Sergeant Sutton, myself, Officers Bunce, we provide instructors for various training modules. So that is how we have done it. We would certainly, again, I'm not opposed to it, but I don't want it to be exclusively that. And I'm concerned about that. And I'm not sure if that was the overall goal or just maybe that we should be using it. We would only be able to use the Dutchess County Academy if we were to be sending someone for full-time police officer training who has not already received phase 1 of the police academy. They don't do phase 1, phase 2. There are a couple of programs that Dutchess does differently, which is they do offer the CIT as part of their police academy training, which is something Ulster County hasn't done yet. And I believe that they are also beginning to implement or have just started to implement the procedural justice training from DCJS. Which I think are two great things. And I know that the Ulster is looking at the procedural justice more than the CIT at this point, just in terms of trying to get personnel. But again, those are pretty much my comments on that. I do know for us, the training costs associated would not be a factor because Dutchess does the same thing that Ulster does, in that if we send an officer to either academy and we provide instructors to that academy, they will waive the fees for that for that applicant, which is a significant cost that we were able to avoid. It's just a matter of what works when we're looking to work. I think if I'm being asked to utilize both, utilize that when it's available and we can do it, I am. But if it's a matter of saying we should not be using Ulster at all, then that would be the problem.
Can we get Diana and Essie, I believe, are on the call.
Yep.
Maybe
Thank you,
they have
David. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And then I'll
so-
ask a question after that.
Yeah, I thought we kind of thoroughly just had discussed it with the chief when we were moving through this. the Ulster County is very militaristic, doing things a very old way, not progressive at all. And this is from what I observed. Anything we recommended or moved away from what was currently being done, it was reviewed. I spent a lot of time doing research on the Ulster County training facility. One thing that the first thing that was noted was their website was very much outdated. So I had to dig and dig and dig to find some of the trainings. And like I said, it's very military run. And so I've worked in Dutchess County for 32 years and, you know, received all my training there and elsewhere, like New York City, Westchester County. And I just feel that they are far more progressive in meeting with today's agenda and what needs to be done today. They are not military based. And so that's why the recommendation was made. Ulster County, in my opinion, is completely just outdated.
Anna, do you mind just providing an example of the comparison that you just made?
I did this like, I don't know how many months ago, but it should, I believe I may have given some examples in the report. Most of what I came up with was observing their training on the website. So you would, you know, you could probably find it there, but it was not progressive. They weren't using the dialogue, the engagements that are necessary. For example, like what the chief was speaking with, what happened that night in town sounds pretty horrific. But I didn't hear anything about any kind of conversations trying to be engaged, you know, to communicate with the crowd. It's just an abundance. I would just say for you guys to look that stuff over and check it out. Even go to the academy and observe.
It would be helpful. Like I read the report. I don't remember seeing any examples of it, but if you could maybe write up a paragraph or two with some specific examples for us, that would be helpful for us to understand your strong feelings.
Chief has a question.
If I could, I respectfully disagree with Ann on a couple points. You know, the first is that the Dutchess County Academy employs drill instructors. They employ the same, you know, they're pretty much the same. There are certain curriculum that they have added, but the curriculum is set by the Department of Criminal Justice Services. The instructors are whoever, you know, whatever agency is sending somebody there. I'm not sure who you spoke to in terms, I don't know if you spoke to Director Rao or Deputy Chief Bonds or,
I didn't speak to anybody. No, I did. I watched their videos. I read up on their topics. So that's where all my information came from.
Right. And I think a lot of that is outdated, and that may be what, you know, something that they were doing. And the second point I will say is I take a little umbrage with when we're dealing with 100 people yelling and screaming and fighting on us, you can try and use any CIT you want. And it's not that our officers are using all the restraint they possibly can. And I do take umbrage with that. I think that is a mischaracterization of our people. I think our people are doing everything that we're asking for them. Those are situations where all of that is out the window. You're not dealing with that. And that is, you know, where I certainly have to push back on. Like I said, I've spoken with both academy directors. I'm well-versed in where they're at. I'm not opposed to using that academy, but I do think that, you know, we have to utilize both when we can, depending upon the situation. That's my position. I'm not opposed to using them. I'm just saying that I think if the point is to completely go away from that, then we are going to have a problem, because the Dutchess Academy will not allow us to use anybody that only needs phase 2. They won't do that. They won't send anybody for that. They don't do a phase 1 or phase 2. It's the academy or it's the whole thing or nothing. Now, I agree with Diana in the fact that I do think we need to rethink academies as a whole. You know, when I went to the FBI NA, you don't see it's not there's that they don't use or employ the quasi-military approach. You know, you either going to make the standard or not, and you don't need somebody, you know, pushing you in that way. And I do agree with you in that regard, Diana. But I do know that both of these programs still utilize drill instructors, and I do know that both of these programs still adhere to some quasi-military. There are programs that Dutchess does offer that the Ulster one doesn't, and that's why I'm not opposed to using either one.
Chief, is there a way that we could actually see if Ulster would be willing to add those programs? And it wouldn't benefit just our officers, it would benefit all officers in Ulster County. I think if we had a list of those programs that Diana thought were really beneficial, I mean, I think, you know, Sheriff Figueroa would be very open-minded about this. I mean, I'm not sure if he has much control over it, but, you know, they hire officers as well. I think a lot of the other chiefs would probably be interested in doing anything that would improve the training of the officers. So it's always
I'll
worth an
definitely
ask.
talk to, yeah, absolutely. I will bring it up the next chiefs meeting with Deputy Chief Mons and Director Rao. I certainly think that at least starting with the procedural justice, the 3 parts of the procedural justice, I think that is absolutely, you know, the CIT, I will also bring that up and see what they say about that as well.
Can I just ask? It sounds like this is one of those items that we want to get some follow up on, Chief. So thanks for agreeing to do that, and maybe you can come back to our next monthly meeting and just give us a report on what you find out and what you hear. Thank you all. Diana, thank you for your comments.
Sure, you're welcome.
Any other comments? Move on to number 10. So recommendation of the Reform and Reinvention Commission that all police personnel and New Paltz justices receive motivational interviewing training, preferably under the instruction of the Virali Group.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to this. I think it's a you know, it'd be worthwhile. I do think that we need to do a little bit more research. You know, what information I've gathered is that a lot of this is geared towards you know, the post contact or post arrest. It's intended to a counseling approach that's intended to change or elicit behavior change. I don't necessarily know how we would employ this in the context of a criminal investigation. But, you know, I certainly can look at that. I've read some of the articles that were associated with this and some others on my own. Bill Kraus recently attended motivational interview training in his role as a member of Oracle and with the as a CIT instructor. And so, you know, it's certainly something we can pursue. I'm not sure in what context we would employ the motivational interview. That's all.
Yeah, and just so everyone's aware, you know, we have no control over the New Paltz justices. I can't even get them to come to department head meetings. So
Would you like me to speak a little bit to the motivational interviewing that the chief just mentioned? That was another one of our recommendations.
sure. Yeah, sure.
So it's not just to do with investigations. It's from the first onset of any type of communication with the public. It's not just when an incident arises. It starts from the beginning all the way through the end. It teaches you how to solicit the information that you need to get without it becoming confrontational. There are some long-term pieces to it that continue if you were to work with that same individual or the same population. But it is it's 10 steps up from verbal judo. The chief knows what verbal judo is. In my opinion, that shouldn't even be taught anymore. it's so antiquated, but it's 10 notches up from motivational, I mean, from the judo talk that the police departments used to use. So the chief is familiar, I think, with that. I took it with them way back when. And so it's a whole line of how to communicate with all populations, whether they're confrontive, whether they're not giving enough information, and how to do that without becoming agitated, both law enforcement and the person you're trying to get that information from. So it's just another way of communicating, nothing to do with any specific piece in the investigation process.
Thank you, Diana. Maybe we look a little further at the Virali group. I did have the opportunity to be at a CIT training up on Mountain Rest with the force, and was really impressed about how they were role playing. Talking. In this particular case, there was somebody inside the house with a gun, and teaching about what's the best. How do we reach this person? How do we invite them out, invite them into a conversation? I thought we were doing a really good job at that. That's not to say that we can't do better, but just want to note that I was like, wow, I had no idea we were doing this kind of training. So just want to note what I saw in the training that I did see us doing. And but maybe the Virali group offers something that also is extremely valuable. But I find, really wanted to thank Officer Kraft specifically, because I see him really moving toward leading the way in some of this stuff. And I think it's great.
Yeah, my comment about the justices is I was mostly kidding. There's a reason where they don't come to department head meetings, because there are very strict rules about keeping the courts separate from the town, right? So that we're not intermingling and, influencing them in any way. So we don't get to tell them what sort of training to do. Like, we can't tell them anything. Like, they're their own entities. So it's a good idea. If they're watching this, they can think about it. But we have no say over them. That's all I have to say about that. Other than that, I think we're all done with the Town Board Police Commission. So
I'm sorry. I just have one more comment about that motivational interviewing. And I haven't taken motivational interviewing, so I'm not positive. But when I researched motivational interviewing, I started to think about whether or not that's something we could use with the discipline matrix. And one of the disciplines that the officers get if they're forgetting to do something or doing something improperly is counseling. And so if we identify that there is a behavior that they need to change, I thought motivational interviewing might possibly be useful in that context as well. So just something for you to look into, Rob.
Yep.
Thanks. With that, I'd like to if everyone's all set, make a motion to adjourn the police commission meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And
Aye.
that I'd like to make a motion to continue the public hearing for the BFB New Paltz LLC petition to extend the water sewer districts. So motion to call the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And with that, I see people are already raising raising their hands. If you have a comment, please raise your hand. I will call on you, and then please, I'll ask you to unmute, and then you can say what you would like to say. Go ahead, Susan.
Good evening. My name is Susan Stetson-Cohn, and I would like to read this letter to the board. Can you all hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Dear town board members, I'm writing to express several concerns about likely consequences should you vote to approve the Trans Hudson PFB's petition. First, The most recent traffic study provided by Trans Hudson BFB indicates that southbound traffic on North Putt will become significantly worse if this project is approved, including backup stretching from the intersection with 299 past the entrance into the site on North Putt. Prior to approving this petition, the town board should contact the rescue squad, the fire department, and the police department to confirm that their ability to respond to emergencies will not be impaired by this substantially increased congestion. And I just have to add that today I waited 20 minutes it was 15 minutes from the fire department to the corner on North Putt. It was at about 3:20. That's how much traffic there was there. In an emergency, every second counts, and delayed response times are not in the public interest. Second, in response to the local housing crisis, the town and village have both expressed support for increasing the local housing supply. Recent studies by the village's Environmental Policy Board have made it clear that the municipal wastewater plant is nearing capacity between current allocations and projects currently under review. Trans Hudson PFB's proposal would generate the same amount of wastewater as 25 single-family dwellings. The remaining capacity in the wastewater plant is precious and, in the midst of a severe local housing shortage, should be set aside for residential use. On this note, it's worth emphasizing that during the 12/8 Village Board meeting, Mayor Rogers was clear that the water loop idea mentioned by Chris Marks during your last meeting is not and will not be a component of the petition before you. Your personal feelings about this project and applicant are not relevant to the decision at hand. Instead, the law requires you to deny the petition if you find that it is not in the public interest to approve it. At the very least, these impacts on first responders and wastewater infrastructure, real matters to the public interest, need to be investigated and deliberated. Voting to deny this proposal would not be a death knell to the project, nor would it cost the town the universally lauded connector trail through the site. Voting to deny would only demand that the applicant put forward a proposal that addresses the legitimate concerns that have been raised by so many New Paltz residents. As you know, I am the town historian, and so I cannot help but consider the decision before you within the context of historical change. I experienced living in a small town in Rockland County that transformed into a crowded suburb before my eyes. Traffic got worse and worse, and the town's charm was smothered by sprawl. As someone who has lived in New Paltz now for over 45 years, I have long dreaded that a similar transformation would occur here. To the town board's credit, you and your predecessors have taken important steps to avoid such a future, including your unanimous votes to rezone the Gateway District in 2019 and to deny Trans Hudson's zoning waiver request just over a year ago. I have no doubt that future New Paltz residents and historians will look back with gratitude should you vote to deny this petition. Thank you, Susan Stetson-Cohn.
Emily?
Yes, thank you. My name is Emily Svensson. I'm an attorney representing a group of New Paltz residents who oppose the proposed water and sewer district extension. The sole purpose of the district extension is to facilitate the BFB Trans Hudson Development Project. That project is essentially a throughway rest stop, and it's wrong for the town of New Paltz. And we seriously urge the board not to extend infrastructure in order to support that project. I submitted a letter today, and I want to summarize 3 of the points in that letter. The first is that the project poses many negative impacts, and the one I want to focus on is the project's incompatibility with the comprehensive plan and the MSMU zoning. A year ago, this board reviewed waiver requests for the project, including a request to bypass the MSMU 2-story requirement in favor of a traditional single-story commercial layout. The town board rejected those waivers and made clear that the proposed project is detrimental to the community's plans. The board quoted the MSMU goal to provide, quote, opportunities for upper floor residential units that could offer the community much needed housing diversity and affordability. And the board set out extensive findings. I just want to quote a couple of sentences from your findings, which are attached to my letter. You found that permitting one of the few undeveloped lots to be developed in a manner that is contrary to the zoning law will have a lasting impact on the character of the MSMU. You also found that the MSMU requires density of people in a single location in order to concentrate development and fulfill the goals of smart growth. And the loss of these potential residents or additional customers will have a negative effect on the district. The project sponsor got around that with got around the town board's waiver rejection with a variance, but the project still remains a single-story traditional commercial design that runs directly contrary to the town's adopted goals, as this board correctly found. Some of the other problems with the project I won't repeat because they've been stated already, but the emergency response times, the public safety issues with vehicle turning motions that will conflict with bicycle and pedestrian use, and also the wastewater capacity. The village has limited remaining wastewater capacity, which should be used for housing. So point number 2, because of all these negative impacts, the district extension does not meet the legal standard, which is whether it meets the public interest, and therefore it must be rejected. The decision to establish or extend a district lies squarely within the discretion of the town board. The town board may extend a district, it doesn't have to, and it can only extend a district if 4 criteria are met, and one of those is whether it's in the public interest to grant the extension. The town law directs that if the extension is not in the public interest, the town board shall deny the petition. And I note here that the public interest is not limited to water and sewer capacity, but it calls on the board to consider the interest of the community generally. And there are legal sites in my letter explaining that standard. So here the town board found just a year ago that the project would have a lasting negative impact on the community's plans for the area. So to now simply hold that the district extension is in the public interest without analyzing that any further would be arbitrary and irrational and could open the board to legal challenge. Even within the context of water and sewer service in particular, the district extension would not serve the public interest. As I mentioned before, it would squander the community's limited remaining sewer capacity on non-essential businesses instead of supporting needed housing. So we urge the board to reject the extension because it does not serve the public interest. And finally, the third point is that for all these same reasons, the project warrants a positive seeker declaration. One of the criteria for a seeker declaration is the creation of a material conflict with a community's current plans or goals as officially approved or adopted. As we just described, the board has already found that the project directly conflicts with the town's plans and goals. The other problems, the emergency response, the safety problems, these have evaded any seeker review because the conditions changed after the planning board's negative declaration. So in accordance with seeker regulations, when conditions change or when issues are discovered that would create a significant adverse environmental impact, the board needs to issue a positive declaration and go through a study that would then commence. And for all of these reasons, just to conclude, we strongly urge the town board to reject the proposed district extension. Thank you.
Ms. Svensson, can I just ask you, you read on a couple of occasions that the project, can you repeat that again and say where you're reading from, that the project does not meet the town's objectives? What can you repeat that comment again and tell us where you're getting that?
Sure, I'm reading from the December 20th town board resolution rejecting the waivers for this project.
And can you repeat the comment again, your statement that you're quoting from?
Yep. Well, let's see. It's a long section, but just
the part about the project not meeting the town's goals.
Permitting one of the few undeveloped lots to be developed in a manner that's contrary to the zoning law will have a lasting impact on the character of the MSMU. Another one said that the MSMU requires density of people in a single location.
No, I mean this. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you very much.
So my I don't want to go back and forth here, but
No.
what I will say is like the ZBA approved those waivers. So they're following the correct procedure. So just because the ZBA then approved it, that's the whatever. But Leanne, you have a
Just to respond to that, I mean, with all
No,
respect.
no, I don't want to go back and forth. I'm sorry. This is not a back and forth. This is public hearing. Thank you, Ms. Svensson. Really appreciate it.
I just want to say, like, this is a public hearing, and just because of that dynamic, like, I don't want it to be we say something and then we don't let the member of the public say something. So I just like to encourage my board members to let the members of the public speak, and then we'll have our opportunity after.
I would agree. I would like to hear Emily's response.
May I? I just was going to say that is true that the ZBA approved a variance, but the criteria for a variance, an area variance, are specific 5 criteria that the ZBA has to go through. It doesn't change the town board's determination that this is contrary to the zoning. Thank you.
It's a written finding, right?
Yes.
That, okay.
hey, Leanne.
Thank
Hi,
you.
my name's Lee Bell. I'm a resident of New Paltz since 1984. I'm reading a letter from Lagusta Yearwood, who was on the town of New Paltz Planning Board, as you all know, from 2011 to 2017. And because I'm reading a letter, I'll read it in its entirety. As a former planning board co-chair reviewing applications, the first question I would always ask myself was, is this site plan safe? While you are, of course, not the planning board, town law requires you to consider whether approving the petition before you would be, quote, in the public interest. Court decisions have emphasized that public interest here is meant in a general sense. Because thousands of people already pass through this site each year, an unsafe proposal cannot be in the public interest. DOT approval for this site plan, if it is granted, would only indicate that minimum standards have been met, not that the design is safe. You have to decide for yourselves whether features like the 299 driveway, which the Bike Ped Committee once described as a major safety risk, and an in-road bike lane on 299 between 2 traffic lanes seem safe to you. In their own study in 2018, the DOT flagged commercial driveways near this intersection as a significant factor in making this part of 299 twice as dangerous as similar roads across the state. How can it make sense to add another such driveway? The board should not make the many riders on 299 less safe just to secure the EST connector trail. New Paltz deserves a design that is completely safe, not partially so. I am also concerned about the potential impact of this project on New Paltz's first responders, all of whom are now located north of the site on North Putt. The most recent traffic study for this project projects that afternoon rush hour delays on North Putt increasing from 64 seconds today to 104 seconds in 2026 with full build-out. The study predicts southbound backups up to 300 feet long, quote, during most time periods. Will emergency response times be delayed by this substantially increased congestion? This is also a significant concern. Finally, when this board rezoned the Gateway District in 2019, it did so for all the right reasons. Promoting dense, efficient building and non-vehicular transportation makes sense in the midst of a climate crisis. The plan before you is a relic of an era of sprawl that we have said over and over again in comprehensive plans, public forums, hundreds of planning board meetings, and more, that we do not wish to see in our town. It is completely oriented toward the throughway, toward people who don't live here, who will consider New Paltz a place to get fast food and go to an ATM before getting back in their cars. The 2019 Gateway rezoning was undertaken in the public interest. The petition before you, because of its departure from those planning principles and its negative safety impact, is not in the public interest and should be denied. Best, Lagusta Yearwood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Marks. Go ahead, Chris. I think I've unmuted you.
I'm sorry, my fingers were too big. The question of the public benefit for the proposed water connection to 12 North Putt is in front of the board for review and a possible vote tonight. I would like to clarify my comments I made at the December 2nd meeting about a possible water loop from the new construction on Henry Du Bois and the new PD on Putt. As I stated, by looping the system from Putt to Main, there is an advantage of more positive pressure along with less turbidity and more constant residual from chlorine in our system, and is good practice for any delivery water system. Although this would be a plus to the public if offered in the scope of the project, it is not the only one. The proposed money to be paid to the village, in my opinion, is a much larger plus for the village and the town, and will go a long way to serve both of our water and sewer needs. Although the village and town are two separate governments with their own complexities, our water and sewer are joined at the hip and know no boundaries, or where the village ends and the town begins. Having worked with the village DPW and running the town's water and sewer department, I know too well that something that happens to one affects the other. Over the years, match grants for water and sewer upgrades have been obtained by the village government, with village residents paying for their end of the match grants. Money from the Putt project will help alleviate the financial strain on just village taxpayers and assist them with the completion of projects along with the grants that, when completed, will give us as a whole more capacity for sewer and help alleviate more I&I in our system, along with help to harden our water system against breaks and turbidity. As someone who deals with the nuts and bolts of our system every day, 24/7, work of this nature, along with financial help, is a plus for all New Paltz residents who use our system. And as I stated last time, this is a comment only for water and sewer, not for the entire project. That's at this point the only thing I'm concerned about. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Daniel?
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Daniel Schneeven, Town of New Paltz. I want to start by telling David publicly what I've already told him privately, how much I appreciate and how much so many people appreciate the incredible amount of time he's devoted during his time on the board. I don't always agree with each vote he made, but I valued how he made himself available to talk and listen. I always respected how David was always very thorough and thoughtful in his deliberation. And this has really characterized the board as a whole, and you all deserve credit for that. It's because of this praiseworthy track record on the board's part that the draft resolution before you comes across as painfully incongruent with what's the board's standard approach. Compare the resolution before you to the resolution you all passed unanimously just over a year ago when Trans Hudson approached you pursuing zoning waivers. That resolution was thorough. It reflected serious deliberation of significant issues. Its claims were substantiated in detail. It took 2 months before the board was prepared to vote on it. This resolution does none of that. This draft resolution. It is sparse and superficial. You'll be voting on it after a mere 2 weeks without having ever publicly discussed the many factors and the many factors in play prior to tonight. A lot of people have raised legitimate concerns about this petition, including many people who are among the 39 who signed a letter at the last meeting who have never spoken up before in the almost 9 years that Trans Hudson has been active in New Paltz. Obviously, this vote is not a popularity contest, but to vote so quickly on a hastily assembled resolution is to dismiss out of hand a significant swath of this community, including many who have been among your strongest supporters and who have been among New Paltz's most dedicated volunteers. Numerous board and committee members, current and former, even the former deputy mayor. These are people with serious resumes of devotion to this community. To approve a resolution tonight, following a single night of discussion, a resolution that lacks substantiation and that does not meaningfully engage with any of the significant concerns expressed about this petition, would be totally out of character for this board and how it usually operates. As was the case with the resolution you unanimously passed last year, you protect the town through well-grounded, well-argued resolutions. The question before you, as others have said, is not whether you like the project or not. The question before you is it in the public interest to expand the district? The law did not require the village to address this threshold with their decision last week. Their approval was pro forma. To answer the question of public interest, you need to address the real issues. Others have spoken on this, so I'll just be very brief. You have studies, including one that was recently directed by Ted Nitza, who I know you all respect, that shows that the wastewater plant's nearing capacity. The 8,000 gallons per day required by this project would not by themselves overwhelm the capacity of the plant. However, this board is committed, to its credit, to trying to alleviate the local housing crisis through the creation of new housing. Is it in the public interest to direct precious wastewater capacity to 2 fast food restaurants that could otherwise supply 25 homes? Similarly, as others have said, so I'll skip through it, delays in responses to emergencies are not in the public interest. Prior to voting, the board needs to understand how the substantially increased congestion on South Putt will impact emergency responders. We're talking about wait times almost twice as long as current and lineups up to 300 feet long at most times. Will a fire truck be able to get through these conditions as quickly as they do now? This is something you need to look into prior to voting. Finally, and again, and not to be repetitive, but the current site plan would remove a safety barrier that currently separates EST users from vehicular traffic on 299. The DOT put this barrier there for a reason. I know that town representatives spoke with the DOT in late November. If there are new modifications, safety modifications in the offing, these should be announced. The board is tasked with protecting public safety. How can it do that when the whole board doesn't have all the relevant information? What is known, what is publicly known, is that accident data shows numerous occasions when cyclists and pedestrians have been struck by cars at the 299 Putt Corners intersection. It also shows a number of accidents that have occurred along the EST route elsewhere in New Paltz in the 2 short years since the trail opened. These are concentrated in places where cars and non-vehicular users cross paths. None of these incidents occurred on the part of North Putt that would be replaced by the connector trail. Although the connector trail is a good idea, everyone agrees about that. But the urgency is on Main Street. While formal DOT approval would not in and of itself assure that this plan is safe, the board should not act until at the very least it receives this minimal layer of assurance from the DOT. This is not a decision the board should rush. You showed great integrity just 1 year ago when you did a thorough review and deliberation and denied the zoning waivers sought by this applicant. The community applauded you. Your goal was never to thwart the applicant. It was an honest decision made by weighing the facts. The project before you now is little changed since then. The criteria before you now is the public interest. I have little doubt that each of you in your hearts know that the petition before you is not in the public interest. I ask that you summon the courage and integrity that you found last year and do what you know is the right thing by denying this petition. The applicant made adjustments to their plan as a result of your vote last year and can do so again. Thank you, and thank you, David, for your tenure on the board.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Daniel.
Any more comments? Last call. Okay. I'd like to.
Mr. Supervisor, will we have an opportunity to speak to this issue
Do you want to
later?
do that now or during the meeting? It's up to you.
During the meeting, fine. During the meeting, fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, well, when we get to that, it should be pretty quick. Things should go quickly after this. So
I do hope the town board members can have a discussion before.
We're going to have a discussion during the meeting.
It's on the agenda. Yep.
No, I'm saying before the lawyer who just spoke, Kathy, speaks.
I think we should get a presentation from them so we hear both sides, and then we can have a discussion. That's my thought. But usually when something's on the agenda, we have the people.
Let's talk about that at the meeting. Let's talk about that in the meeting. We can consider that, Julie, before we hear from anybody, for sure.
But yeah, usually we have the presentation and then we discuss it. But that's fine. Any other comments? If not, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Any discussion?
The public hearing open, and you're saying close it for good?
Yeah, that's my motion.
Okay. So my
All in
discussion,
favor?
my discussion would be, I would like to see it kept open.
All in favor of any other comments? All in favor of closing the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Nay. Dan, I don't know where Dan,
That was an aye.
So motion carried. And so I'd like to make a motion to open the public hearing for the Shungum Ridge CEA.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any comments? So
I'd like to comment.
Go ahead, Stana.
Thank you. I'm turning on my thing. So hi, I'm Stana Weisbird. I live in both the village and the town, and I'm speaking as a personal citizen, not as a member of the village board. I am really grateful for the CEA, and I can't wait to see this one done and more. All the work that went into it, into all of, advising on all the CEAs, was very impressive to me when I was on the town planning board. I see this, all of what was presented in front of me, my interpretation was that this is a win-win, all good kind of thing. And I'm really grateful and can't wait to see this happen. Thanks.
Thanks.
thank you.
Any other comments?
Are we prepared to vote on that CEA at this meeting, or do we leave that public hearing open?
I think we can
and-
close the public hearing, but we're not prepared.
Okay.
I don't know where this stuff is. I mean, if it ever gets brought before the town board, we can vote on it, but I mean, we've been waiting for a long time, so.
Okay, I
someday-
want to make a motion to close the public hearing. I feel like we're all ready to vote yes on this as soon as we have a resolution. So let's just close the public hearing.
I
That's
looked
my
at that.
motion.
We would have closed this, we would have been done with this 2 years ago. But here
I'll
we
just
are.
take
I'm in favor of closing the public hearing as
My
well.
motion is to close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
I just want to say that there is a volunteer working on this, a final part that was left out by the lawyer who drafted the resolution and worked on the EAF parts and a memo to the board. Those have all been ready for a month or two, and we have a volunteer working on them, and that it just hasn't materialized yet. So it's just, unfortunately, just a small portion that the lawyer actually said she left it to save us money. And so, we could have used money to have her finish that or just do what we decided to do back when. So that's why we have a delay. There's nothing intentional. It's just, that's what we came up with when we used took the lawyer's advice and let someone save the town a little money.
Thank you, Julie.
All right. I'd like to
Thanks,
make a
Julie.
motion. Yeah, all in favor? We voted, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Motion to call the December 15th, 2021 town board meeting to order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and
to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the announcements, town offices will be closed Friday, December 24th and Friday, December 31st in observance of the holidays. And then I guess before we forget, I'd really like to thank David for being on the town board. that's kind of my announcement. It's been fantastic, David. I've learned so much from you. I'm really going to miss having you on the board. So thank you. And you've done a tremendous amount of good work. So thank you. And
Thank you so
quick
much,
announcement
David.
as well too, and you beat me to it, Neil, because I was also going to say thank you, David. It's been an absolute pleasure serving with you. I've really appreciated your dedication, your interest to learn more, to meet people's needs, and your willingness to learn and listen. So thank you a ton for that, and for also making us all better too, which I think is important. And anytime you can make a broader group better, that's valuable. And I genuinely mean, I do think you've made us all better, and you changed a lot of the dynamics of the board, especially considering what it was like prior to you serving in office as well too. My other announcements, hard transition there, is just to again remind everyone that on Wednesday from 5 to 7, we're going to be doing free distributions of at-home COVID rapid tests. So if you're in need of one, please come on by. We only have a limited amount, 600 between the town and village. So we are looking for people who truly need them, who don't necessarily have access to them. And we'll be handing those out as well. Thank you.
And for those folks who can't pick one up and need one and don't have access to one, please call the town offices and let folks know that you need one. And there are a few of us who may be free on Wednesday to deliver some of those to you. So please call the town offices if you cannot come pick up a test yourself or don't have someone who can. Okay, thanks. And just want to say thank you also. It's been an absolute pleasure working with this town board and Marty before. I got everything I wanted out of this for sure, and was a pleasure to serve my community in this way. So thank you all.
Thank you, David.
And then last, please check the town's website and Facebook page for details on this year's 8th annual New Paltz Eve, to be held December 31st. And Chris Marks, do you have a question there or a comment, announcement? Sorry, I think I just muted you. I was trying to unmute you. Go ahead.
How about now?
Yes, go ahead.
Just an announcement for people who haven't gotten their leaves out. Please get them out. Mother Nature's been working with us, but I would like to put the truck away soon. So while the weather's nice, get your leaves out. Please call the highway department if you still have a pile, and we will get the truck right out to you. Thank you.
Thanks. Any other announcements? And with that, I'd like to open it up for public input. If you have comments, please raise your hand. We'll call on you. Try to keep them to 3 minutes. And Edgar, you have a comment.
Yes, good evening, Edgar Rodriguez, New Paltz resident, New Paltz Coalition for Community Safety and Wellbeing. Our New Paltz School District has for decades had a standing facilities committee that includes community members, which has managed tens of millions of dollars to care for school district assets that today are in good shape. I served several years on the school facilities committee as a school board member, and I learned that the most important thing for any organization is to have a facilities plan with a comprehensive preventative maintenance plan. Given our town's high debt service for infrastructure for many years to come, and our many infrastructure needs, it appears urgent that a facilities plan with a comprehensive long-term preventive maintenance plan for all projects include community members. Does the town have a 5 or 10-year facilities and maintenance comprehensive plan for our assets? If yes, is it posted on your website? And again, do you have community members on it? I will submit this statement. Thank you.
Maggie?
Okay, I think I'm on, right? Yeah. Hi, thank you. I am gonna find my little place here on the computer to read what I wanted to say. The 2022 budget recently passed represents a 2.68% increase, over 1.5 times the 2% cap recommended by state guidelines. The vast majority of that increase is due to costs for policing and nearly a tenfold increase in the debt service for the police department and courthouse. This budget represents a minuscule increase in funding for any other department infrastructure needs, including our youth services and services for the Office of Community Wellness and other department infrastructure needs, which includes town recreational services and even your own town hall. One can say that this is now water under the bridge. However, the budget is set and the debt service is set. However, this debt service will continue to a greater and lesser extent over the next 25 years. It is arguable how much or little police presence is needed in our town and how that need can be more efficiently provided. However, what cannot be argued is that there are several infrastructure needs clearly evident in the terrible conditions of our town hall and youth program building. Just look at the simple issues of accessibility to the different parts of the youth program building. Mr. Tinger does miracles with nothing, but the need there for improved facilities is clear. My hope is that the town will take a close and timely look at the infrastructure needs of other sectors of our town, particularly the youth services building and the town hall. The board necessarily will continue to burden our taxpayers with the costs of the new police station, but let this not deter the town from quickly developing a process to study the infrastructure needs of all departments and programs with special consideration for the youth program and the needs of our youth, and services for the Office of Community Services and Wellness. Thank you. I'll submit this also. I would say, however, that I'm not suggesting that it should be a tenfold increase in our next level of debt service for new town hall service, for new town offices or different youth programs. But I am saying we should give urgency to ameliorating the issue of tax dollars to the rental and use of inferior facilities. The town department did not have inferior facilities, but our town hall offices and youth services are embarrassing and disrespectful to those who use the services. We should be concerned with throwing good money after bad for those services, as was the case for putting us in debt for the police department. Now I'm done. Thank you.
Any other comments? Not, like to move on to agenda item number 1. And I'd like to, this is a referral from the police commission. Motion.
Bundle items 1 through 3, since we already discussed them at the police commission.
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to bundle items 1 through 3 on the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Actually, 1 through 4. I just to be clear, 1 through 4, please.
Yeah. Motion
Can I get a
to
second on
bundle
one?
items 1 through 4.
Second on that one.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item number 5 is infrastructure needs of the youth center, which was just brought up as an issue. We have, I think, 4 different proposals here for heating, cooling, air filtration systems for the youth center. And we have some money left over in the budget, and we're going to raise some money. And then we have a little bit of money left in the rescue plan funds, because we didn't spend it all on another project, some emergency needs with infrastructure. But my proposal, if you had a chance to look at these, they're a little confusing at first, but they're, either put in 4 units. That's number 1, 4 units to fully heat the youth center and cool. The other 3 proposals are for kind of partial heat, right? Turns out the the fully heating it, because of the rebates that are involved, it's the cheapest one. So the one that does the most work, and those rebates, if they disappear in March, I think it is. And so they're all, Rycor is also giving us some in-house rebates, and Central Hudson rebates, and Mitsubishi on the mini splits. So my proposal, talking to Jim, is to accept proposal number 1 for $10,000, $10,191.70 to put in 4 units for different rooms in the youth center. I don't know if people have any discussions on that.
I'll second that motion.
Go ahead. Any thoughts on that?
I think it's I mean, I wrote to you about that, but I think it's a smart long-term decision. I think it's more energy efficient. I think they work better. And I think it's definitely, you know, it seems like a chunk to spend now, but I think it's another one of those projects I support because I feel long-term it's going to pay for itself. And I also know that the state and the money that gets returned is changing quite a bit.
Yes.
Like it's going down a lot. So
yeah, it goes down. It will go up thousands of dollars if we don't do it now. This also improves air filtration. So we're worried about COVID. You know, we're going to have better air quality in there. It kind of fits in with what we're trying to do to upgrade town hall and offices with you know, more energy efficient equipment. You know, they're electric, so you know the town uses all electric from solar farms. So we're switching basically the youth center over to green electricity. So there's lots of different reasons. But
Neil, will they be able to get this installed pretty quickly if we say yes?
Yes. Yeah. That's the plan.
I motion we approve this proposal.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, thank you. Jim will be very happy. Where's my place here? So
item 6.
Yeah, I have my notes there. So item 6. So now I'd like to, well, do you guys want to have a discussion? Would the board like to discuss this first or have a presentation about this?
I see 2 folks. I see Tim Rogers, Mayor Rogers raising his hand, and I know Ms. Salantis from BFB. I would propose we hear the information and then hear all the information that's presented to us and then discuss it together. That would be my hope, and then have that discussion and be able to ask questions of Mayor Rogers if he's here, and others, other folks who I think are experts on this decision. But that would be my proposal, is to hear all the information.
I agree with that. I'd like to hear the information.
That certainly is fine.
Great.
Can we hear from the mayor first?
Sure. Go ahead, Tim.
This is Tim. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually just wanted to compliment the board, having nothing to do with Trans Hudson. I just kind of got carried away and raised my hand because I've heard time and time again how the town board and Supervisor Betez do such a good job looking out for the youth center, and it's just like, again, you're looking at creative ways to support the youth center, and I think it just speaks really well of the town board and the values of our community. I just wanted to because I actually just wanted to do it in the chat, but I guess I can't chat using how you guys have it set up. So I just wanted to be on record saying thanks for doing that work, because you guys do a lot for the youth center.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, thanks, Tim.
We really value it.
Hey, Ms. Zalantis and Justin Dates are both here. The attorney and engineer from BFB New Paltz. I've made you both co-hosts. If you need to, I think you should be able to unmute yourselves or share the screen. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. Good evening. Kathy Zalantis from Silverberg Zalantis, and my firm represents BFB. I'd just like to respond briefly to some of the comments First, it is in the public's interest to grant the petition that's before your board. This project is providing $200,000 to the village's existing infrastructure. This is funds that can be used immediately for existing infrastructure issues. This project is also providing 19 municipal parking spaces, a municipal restroom facility, and a trail that will go through the property. So, I've heard comments about single-family homes, but I don't think any single-family homes or even numerous single-family homes would provide that level of public benefit to the community. It's also a lot of issues that are being raised are really not relevant to the issues that are before this board, but are site plan issues that are in many cases still being vetted and looked at by the planning board and its consultants, specifically the issue regarding the DOT. We had a recent meeting with the DOT that Justin can elaborate further on, but we're continuing to work with the DOT on issues. So, on the issues that are, another comment was that we somehow skirted this board's determination in not granting the waivers. We pursued variances, which is another remedy that we're allowed to under New York state law, and the Town of New Paltz Zoning Board of Appeals granted those variances, and issuing variances, the zoning board determined that the benefit to the applicant outweighed any detriment to the community, and that what was being proposed was consistent with the character of the neighborhood and would not be a detriment to the neighborhood. So, I mean, that's a finding of a board of this town that's already been made. And a lot of the comments that I've heard from residents sound a bit dated, and I know that this project has been going on for a long time, but this project has evolved. And this project is no longer the project that it was, 3 years ago, or even a year ago. This project keeps getting better. And, I think what the town will ultimately potentially end up with is a very different project from where this project started. And we have to look at the project as a whole and the benefits to the community. And here, the benefits to the community are the municipal development, essentially, that's being proposed alongside the commercial development. And if we could just have Justin now speak for a moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, just to Kathy's point, the project has made leaps and bounds from the CVS days, we'll call it, with the changing of the zone to the Main Street mixed use. What's before the planning board is a compliant plan to that zone that the town had established the rezoning of. So, as Kathy mentioned, it's night and day at this point of where we've come from the original application, which was some time ago. The fact of the access off of 299 and that interaction with the trail and sidewalk and bike lanes and things of that nature. We did have a meeting just before the Thanksgiving break with New York State DOT on our proposal. The supervisor was in attendance of that meeting as well, but we did go through potential alternatives on how to make that access point and interaction with the trail the safest that it could be, and that's a goal of the applicant as well. So we are working through that. The plan and these alternatives were provided to DOT. They've been shipped up to the Albany offices, where their design professionals are reviewing them, and we're seeking their response to how we create our access here. Some of the alternatives had to do with preserving some of those sections of the EST that are constructed today, and how we can work our driveway through there. But also, they're looking at how we've proposed to route the trail through the site, and take it away from what some have considered an unsafe intersection. We're trying to create a safer situation for the trail in this area and pull it away from the highways as best we can considering the property that's associated with this particular project. The traffic, there were some comments about the traffic report. We did provide that to the planning board. At Monday's meeting, we actually just got the review back from the planning board's traffic consultant. He did agree with our proposal to do some timing changes to intersection lights and an extension of the left turn, the southbound left turn lane on North Putt. Doing those improvements, we found that the delays would be of similar in the built condition and no built condition. So that was agreed upon by the board's traffic consultant in his memo. And again, some of the other things in his memo, on-site circulation and some parking things, we're continuing to work through those with the board and its consultants. That's all I had to add at this point.
Would you mind staying around for some questions if there are any?
Absolutely.
Can I suggest that the board has a discussion at this point?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm just going to ask Justin real quick. So it's been brought up a few times that, that we're going to be like forcing people into the road, and we're going to be doing away with this barrier along 299 between the bike lanes or the current shared use path and 299. I think that in one of the earlier presentations, I think that might be confusing to people, because I think one of the drawings that you showed was from a very old picture or drawing from when there was a bike lane in that road. But I like, just to be clear, what I understand is what's going before DOT now is not that. We're asking them about that. One, the sidewalk is going to continue all the way because the new code requires sidewalks, or DOT may have that shared use path continued all the way down to North and South Putt. And it's only about 100 feet from where the entrance would be on 299 from there to North Putt. Is that right?
So yeah, that was probably one of the the longest time spent during our discussions with DOT during that meeting is how we're handling the trail users from where we peel off into the site, and how they can move to the towards the west, towards the village. And that's what I was trying to infer, that section of the existing trail that may remain for the bicyclists and pedestrians to continue on west to the intersection with North Putt and 299 and that intersection. And then how we transition from taking the EST into the site to coming up to our driveway, right? That's the other section that we need to work out. But as for the actual bike lane within 299, yeah, that idea is not being pursued any further. That is off the board, per se for now. We're looking at these alternatives to eliminate that. So that barrier that was referenced and barrier, I'm taking that as the 5-foot grass buffer as a barrier between the trail or shared use path with the edge of pavement for the travel lanes or the vehicular traffic. There would still be that in place.
Thanks. Anyone else have any comments, questions?
I'd love to comment. I want to like this project so much. I really do. I love new business. I think it's a great thing to start a new section in our town. And I love people coming in and having ideas and starting up something that we might enjoy that is good for the public. I have a pause because we're constantly, talking to everybody about shopping local, supporting local, enjoying local, farm to table, sort of everything New Paltz stands for. And as much as I want to get around the bettering of this project, and again, I'm new coming into this, it's still a strip mall. You can only paint a horse so much to try to make it look like, something else, and it's still the same horse. So I just feel like there's so much about this project that has grown. I agree. And I know Kathy was talking about that, and Justin was talking about that. I mean, it has changed because I heard from Neil how it started, and I see how much it's developed. And I feel like when you come off the highway and you turn left, you already see ShopRite, and you already see Tops, and you already see areas that are commercial. And it would be so nice to have a development that has small businesses, that has local businesses, that has people that are represented by people who moved here because they love the beautiful outdoor, sort of relaxed nature of New Paltz. That's what makes it so exciting. That's why we love Water Street Market. That's why we love the preserve. That's why we love our hikes. So I guess my question is, how can, and again, me, and I know probably represented from a lot of people who spoke here before, how can we embrace this level of project and this level of business and somehow make part of it, maybe 40% of it, maybe 50% of it be local businesses, so that we have people from around here who actually have another place where they can support local instead of supporting the businesses that we see at every single exit in every single strip mall all over America. I just have a hard time with that because I love our little town. And I don't want to get off the highway. And as much as my daughter loves Five Guys, I mean, she'd shoot me for saying this, or loves, and any other like great fast food restaurant or businesses, I think I would really not be super psyched to get off the highway as a New Paltzian and see yet another of exactly the same business that I see in every other strip mall everywhere. I just don't feel like it's New Paltzy.
Can I just say one part to that as well, Alex? I mean, I've been on the record many times saying I don't love this project, but I also just want to best understand the vote before us.
Yeah.
And to make sure that we're voting on the correct thing, and then also not making decisions based on other factors of the project that potentially also leads to litigation.
I hear you.
I hear everything you're saying, and I am very vocal on my thoughts on the project. But if Neil or someone else just wants to reiterate exactly how that frames within the vote we're taking today, I do think that that's important to kind of frame the conversation. Not trying to shut you down. I just want to make sure we're active.
I'm, perfectly happy to hear.
Well, no, I mean, this, we talk, it's in the resolution, right? We have to base this vote on 4 criteria, right? And obviously the people who commented earlier are, either they can read or they got some good legal advice. And they kind of focus their criticisms on, does this benefit the community overall, right? And so you could say, well, I think the community would be benefited to a greater extent if these were local businesses, and I agree. My problem is that that's not how zoning works, right? We don't get to decide. We get to decide what type of business can go there. Like we could say a restaurant can go there. We can't say, well, it has to be a locally owned restaurant, right? We get to decide the type of businesses, but not the exact business that's there. The people who own it get to decide that. If someone local had bought it, then it would be different. We did, like what we were able to do is we rezoned the whole area because we didn't want, 13,000 square foot buildings that would be there with huge parking lots, because when that place closes, it's hard for a local business person to kind of suddenly move into a 13,000 square foot building and kind of start up. But so we rezoned it for smaller, denser businesses, and now we're getting 7,000 square foot buildings. We're going to talk more about this, but the other criticisms are that, well, that the town spent, we spent tens of thousands of dollars, and the volunteers spent hours and hours rezoning this whole area because we didn't want big 13,000 square foot buildings and big parking lots. We wanted density, right? There's lots of reasons we want density, right? The density is one. Last year we passed the community preservation tax, to preserve open space, right? So, but you can't preserve open space if there aren't places for people to live and work and shop, or else there's nothing here, right? So I was in favor of rezoning the gateway areas, not because of stopping this project. I think some people were. That was never my intent. My intent was so we could preserve other areas of town and have dense areas. And for me, an area that has the thruway on one side, a state road on the other side, and a county road on the other side, there should be business there, right? And I'd rather have businesses there that people can walk and ride their bike to. And yes, some people are going to come off the thruway, but I'd rather have that than have sprawl everywhere else in town. We can talk about that more, but we rezoned this for density, and now they're asking for water and sewer to accommodate that density. That's, to say that we rezoned it and now we should reject the water and sewer because they're not meeting what we rezoned it for is just not true. People saying, well, there's going to be too much traffic. If they didn't get the waiver from the ZBA, there'd be even more traffic. So what is it? I don't understand it. People don't want us to have too much impervious surface, or they don't want all the trees cut down. By giving people water and sewer, they don't need to have as much areas for septic systems, right? We talked about the Millbrook Preserve many times, how this is in the headwaters of the Millbrook Preserve, and we can't give them, we can't let them build it because this is going to pollute the Millbrook Preserve. Well, now we're giving them water and sewer. This is actually going to be better for the Millbrook Preserve. What is it? What do we want to do here?
I would just say, as a representative of the Millbrook Preserve, it hasn't ever been shown whether the sewer and water, if they had a well and had their own septic, whether that would be a problem. So I don't know.
People brought it up as an issue years ago. I was one of the people that brought it up as an issue in public comment before the planning board, that this could potentially impact the Millbrook Preserve with increased runoff because of impervious surface, septic drainage. So it has been brought up.
Did you say you were one of the people? Is that what you said?
I was one of the people who made public comment, opposing this project back in 2015 before I was elected. Yes, because I didn't like the size and scope of the type of development that area was zoned for.
But I was just wondering, but there's no data about the Millbrook Preserve being affected by.
I'm not saying there is, but people brought it up as an issue, right? And so I could say the same thing now, that people are bringing things up as issues, but there's no data for it.
That's just it. So I'd love to make a segue to something I really want to say, and that,
Please.
I was very surprised to see that there was a resolution on tonight's agenda. It feels very rushed. And so, the fact that we are trying to do this discussion in one night feels wrong. And, there's a lot of data that's missing. I don't know even what other people are using for their criteria. For example, do we all have the same understanding of what our lawyer told us about what we can consider? I don't know, so I wonder about, because of what Dan just said to Alex, I've looked carefully at what he said, and he said, certainly, am I able to quote from the lawyer, Neil? Is that something that wouldn't be a problem?
I don't see why not.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't, there wasn't a problem with that. Just one second. I did write part of it anyways, that certainly the evaluation, so he said, certainly the evaluation of the request for extension regarding such things as desirability of the project. And he mentions a list of couple of things we could be weighing. And I thought, really great, we should be weighing these things. And I was looking forward to debating that and having a robust debate that is, as I think Dan Schneidwin mentioned, you know, is a characteristic of our board. I don't feel like that we're ready for a vote. Things like even just if our lawyer brought up tax revenue, you know, but I have no data on which to use that as a piece of information to help me weigh this. I don't know about services, you know, because I went to a lot of meetings about this project since 2015 before I was a town board member. And I want to be very clear and on the record that I absolutely believe that this applicant has a right to develop their land. And I support there being, you know, a project that meets the needs of our community on this piece of land. You know, I've been paying attention for a very long time, and I'm very frustrated to be on this board at this moment because I don't feel like we are ready for a vote. There's expedient and then there's thorough. You know, I'm constantly asking, is there data somewhere about these things that we should be considering? Because our lawyer did say we can consider all sorts of things because as long as they fall under the umbrella of is it in the interest of the town, in the best interest of the town. And like I said, including things like what would tax revenue, you know, jobs, but data is missing in so many areas. And Justin said himself that it's just you know, we don't know what the on-site circulation is. You know, issues with on-site circulation. We need to hear from the DOT to be able to weigh these factors. We need to hear from emergency services. I know years ago when it was a different project, emergency services was contacted, but that was a whole different situation when police wasn't there, when fire wasn't there. And you know, I'm very curious. I don't know. I want to know things such as if you know a fire truck needs to get through, is there room for people and it's filled up with cars, both because there's only 2 lanes there, one going straight and right and one going left. Is there a way for people to get over safely? You know, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of room there. So there's all these questions, and I'll stop talking because I've had my 3 minutes now. But I appreciate the moment to, I'd love to say more during this discussion, but I will stop now.
With all due respect, drilling down on site-specific issues is not within the purview of this board right now on the petition that's currently pending before you. I mean, internal site circulation is something that the planning board does in the context of site plan review. Of course, they're never going to approve a plan that doesn't have access for a fire truck. That's like the first thing that the planning board would do. So I don't think that's relevant really to this board's inquiry about the petition. And I would just like to add that
here, though, to tell us
Kathy,
or not, because our lawyers seem to say this is all relevant if it's in the public's interest or not. And I'm weighing. I've got to balance. I swear, I'm putting things on the yay side. I swear to you. So I want, you know, I would like to have our lawyer decide and tell us.
If I could just add, one of the things that you
sent
raised.
us a letter that suggested we should be weighing. We can weigh things that are about in the public interest. So if I can't tell if it's safe or not, I love Lagusta's letter. Lagusta, thank you. You know, that you are absolutely right. You want to know, is it safe? And at this point, I don't know. I can't.
I know, but Julie, if I may, Kathy, better this truth come from me rather than you. With all due respect, our planning board this has been in planning for 8 years. They are, you know, at the meeting, you know, 2 days ago, the traffic study was there. They were talking about this exhaustively. Our planning board is solid. We have a really wise planning board, and they're there wrestling with these issues. That's not our work. We're not, unless you want to be on the planning board and do that. That's the job of the planning board, to decide, is this project, you know, meeting our zoning and is safe, and all of those things. That's what the planning board does. Our job is to decide, to me, our job is to decide, is the project in the public, is extending the water and sewer district in the public interest. Then this goes right, planning board hasn't stopped. They're not doing anything, they're not even waiting. They're just moving right along. If we say no, well, the applicant will look at wells and sewer. And then they'll just go on with that and we will be out of the discussion. So the question here is, and I think, you know, the village has spoken really clearly, they want to extend this water and sewer. They want that $200,000 is extremely meaningful to our water and sewer issues, which is in the public interest. So much of our residents that, you know, how much Tim, you know, and he is a water and sewer addict. He knows it so well. And for him to say, this project, I want you to extend this sewer and water to this project. I want to collect that $200,000, use it for matching grants for improvement of our systems. He's ready. He needs that matching money to do prioritize other projects and to put another water customer and a water and sewer customer on our books. We need good water and sewer customers to protect our district. So this is definitely in that interest of, wow, this really protects our water and sewer. Fair, our attorney is also saying you have the right to look at other issues, but that's what our planning board is for. That's why we have appointed folks to 7-year terms who work so hard at it day in and day out to understand this and have been working. I've been sitting on the planning board for 2 years watching this process. This project has gotten so much better. Listen, I don't want this project. This would be my choice of the project that I want to put there or to be in our town. Just like Alex said, I'd love local businesses and a farmer's market and all things. That's not me to decide. Unfortunately, we created zoning for over years, 2 years. We created zoning that said, this is the kind of project we want here. And this applicant is meeting that zoning now. And now we're saying, but not this project? What do you want to say? Every project except this applicant? It's like, yeah, it's a shame we don't have someone local who's bought this project from BFB or whatever their name is right now and said, you know what, we're gonna buy this and we're gonna put a farmer's market there or something, and that's gonna be where our farmer's market is. We don't have that owner. We have a different owner who wants to put in these things, and we've kind of, you know, we're arguing about windows and how much light is going to come in each building. You can bet that they are wrestling on every single issue, and that is what they're doing. Our job is to say, is it in public interest to extend water and sewer to this project and then send it right back to the planning board? It's not that they're stopping at all. They're going every meeting, hours and hours, every meeting. If you want to know about the safety of it, you got to attend that meeting and you got to press our board and be public comment and say, well, I'm worried about this issue. I'm worried about this. Let them deal with that. They are working on that.
I know people are doing that, so I don't need to do that, you know. So, and I do want to express that absolutely the planning board has my appreciation that it's not an easy job. I'm not trying to usurp their position. You know, this is being put to us, so it is my job to consider these things. And my reading, I like I said, I'm extremely uncomfortable that, you know, we should have more conversations with our, just one second. We should be having more conversations with, an actual conversation with our lawyer, and, you know, so we can all be on the same page and do this important job, especially this job that so many community members want. They care very much about how we're doing this job. So
Julie, have you
understanding of what the lawyer told us that includes it includes, he said, certainly you can, you know, things as the desirability of the project, and we are interested in as it relates to public interest, public interest. So
have you asked the lawyer, our attorney, to advise us on this?
Well, this is the beginning of our discussion.
Julie,
you know.
we've had these documents for a month.
Yeah, this has been a month since we've heard from Joe,
I
from
will
our
say-
attorney,
I'll answer.
to
Absolutely.
say,
I'm actually the only one who did, because I asked Neil, and Neil said there's someone on the board who's interested, and he responded, and I thought we all understood it. I'm just not sure.
to me, I understand it. If you feel like you don't understand what the lawyer's what our attorney's offering, and you feel like he needs to advise us again,
Well, I didn't know.
you need to bring him to this meeting.
I know, but I didn't know we needed any more talk about it, since we hadn't had this discussion before. So I didn't know we needed anyone.
I don't think we do. I personally don't.
I personally don't, right? And so here's, we're talking about the public interest. So I put some notes together. I want to, I want to kind of respond to this, right? And so we spent a lot of time working on this code. We rewrote it, right? Everyone talks about like, oh, we all like this bike trail that's going through there. Our code, what we wrote, says pedestrian and bicycle connections through parking areas shall be provided. Right. What they're proposing is a lot better than that, right? So I've said this from the very beginning when we talked about this a year ago about giving the waivers. What they're offering is far above the code, right? There's no way we can guarantee that we will get that, right? And let me tell you this trail, by going behind the properties and being separated off of North Putt, will save lives, right? If you continue to have people ride on that quarter-mile section of North Putt, someone will die, right? This is so much safer. It saves lives over the long term. The other thing is greenhouse gas emissions. We talk about this, right? We love the environment here, right? We do everything we can. We had a greenhouse gas study. Greenhouse gas emissions are the largest from automobiles. Automobiles are the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in New Paltz, right? This connection, by getting rid of that spot on North Putt, will make people more likely to get out of their cars, right? Right now, once we finish Henry W., that section on North Putt is going to be one of the longest on-road sections between here and New York City, right? It's a barrier. If you go out with your kids, like I do, on bikes, they do not want to ride their bikes on North Putt, not with little kids. And then, the other thing I want to talk about, I've learned a lot about bikes over the last couple of years. There's 4 types of bicyclists, right? And I'm going to read this. There's strong and fearless. These are people willing to bicycle with limited or no bicycle-specific infrastructure. That's 7% of the population. That's probably David and Tim, right? There's enthused and confident, people willing to bicycle if some bicycle-specific infrastructure is in place. That's 5% of the population. Interested but concerned, people willing to bicycle if high-quality bicycle infrastructure is in place. That's 51% of the population. Then there's the no way, no how, people unwilling to bicycle no matter what. That's 37%. By providing high quality bicycle infrastructure like this, a lot more people are going to get out of their cars. And that's how we're going to address climate change and greenhouse gas emissions here in New Paltz. The other thing is we spend a lot of time talking about equity and inclusion and everything else. Not everyone owns a car, right? And so we need to do whatever we can to provide the best, safest way for people to get around who don't have cars. This gets there, right? This is also jobs for people. We've all said, like, I'm probably not going to go to any of these stores. That's not like the stuff I like to do. But there are a lot of people who do like these type of stores. And I find it a little bit arrogant of us to say we don't like, this type of stores, we want that. Sure, I want local places too, but that's not everyone who lives in New Paltz. These are also jobs for people. Some people are going to be able to work there and shop there. And yeah, it's near the thruway. But like I said earlier, this is like, if I could pick any spot in town that, should be developed, it's this one. It's surrounded by state and county roads on 3 of the 4 sides. And they're going to be adding, I think, really good. They're adding parking spaces, bathrooms. I'm not a big fan of the bathrooms, but we can talk about that later. A safe way for people to get from New Paltz. Right now, North Putt cuts off people, the vast majority of people who are afraid to drive their bikes on roads, half the population cannot ride their bikes to the walkway over the Hudson right now because they're afraid for that one section. And this changes it dramatically. So I look at that as a huge public benefit to the whole town. And everyone will say, well, they'll probably still, do the bike path. There's no guarantee they'll do the bike path, right? Right now, that's in their plans. But as soon as we say no water and sewer, things cost money. If they have to put in septic systems and drill wells, and they have to put in a big septic area, there may not be room for a fancy bike path, or there may not be money for a fancy bike path. They've never said this, but we all know there's a finite amount of room and a finite amount of money. And if they have to spend, a lot more money and a lot more space putting those things in, the first thing that's going to go is what's not required by code. And this path is not required by code. The code requires minimal connections through the parking lot. It doesn't say anything about a separate shared use path off of the parking lot. But I'm happy to hear what anyone else has to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in too and say, through however many, the 8 years this has been before us, I've been very critical of this process, and we've put this developer through the ringer. And I really think because of that, this project is significantly better. I again, just want to say, like Neil, I don't think we're going to accidentally end up with a quorum of town board members at this location, and that's fine. What's before us today is whether this is a public benefit for the community. If I could pick what kind of businesses I would want up and down Main Street, it would probably look different than it does now. That's also not before us as well too. This project, something's going to go in this space at some point in time. I feel pretty confident about that. So it's about what can we help guide a developer there to make it something that's as New Paltzy as possible as we see it. And I think we're really close to that. And I'm happy with this. I'm happy with where we are in this process. I don't, again, love the proposal itself, but I do feel confident that it is a public good. And for that, I feel confident voting tonight in favor of this. Thank you.
I just want to thank everybody for having this discussion. I really needed it. I had a lot of questions. It was nice hearing both from the people who are involved in the project and from the town board members. I think it just helped settle a lot of the questions, and I liked, I like due process. I like what David said, that the planning board has been working on this for a really long time. I like that we're just voting on one section of it. It also is pretty marked that, if this isn't okayed and the village doesn't benefit from it, something else will happen, something that maybe we don't have as much control over. So I also appreciate what Dan said with that. So thank you.
Can I just add to Ms. Bear's point before about local businesses? None of the tenants have been selected for this site. And you're talking about 4 buildings, and I have the exact sizes: a 7,000 square foot building, 2,500 square foot, 3,300 and 3,000 square foot building. So there's really nothing to preclude a local restaurant if they wanted to come and utilize one of the restaurant spaces. I mean, my clients haven't picked the tenants. I think by rezoning the property, you essentially accomplish not having the big box type tenant of a CVS that wanted a 13,000 square foot store. So you're not going to, that tenant is gone. That tenant would never come into any of these buildings. They're too small. So you're looking at smaller scale retail tenants, and potentially even somebody that's already existing in the town may want to relocate to one of these restaurant facilities.
Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you.
Any other?
Neil, I wanted to ask you a question. So you mentioned a number of, things that on the balance beam of, the pros and cons, I would say are pros for sure. I don't argue that that's not the case, and there are pros. I've said that, and there are public benefits. But you've got to. I like I said, I do not feel comfortable that we are at a point where we can make a decision without thoroughly, having more information and thoroughly discussing.
But I guess so. My question is, by not granting water and sewer extension, any of the cons that people have brought up, how would they be, how would that be affected by not granting water and sewer?
I just actually was hoping for more time for the vote. So that's what I'm getting at. I'm feeling really rushed. So I don't know why we're being rushed. Do you have an answer to that? I mean,
I think it would be incredibly unfair to put a brand new town board member and make that person vote on this.
it took 2 months.
You know, this person is getting elected and being asked to vote on something that's been going on for years. And I'm not willing to put a brand new town board member in that position when I don't think anything that we learn over the next month or 2 months or 3 months will change at all.
Well, that's too bad. I do think that we'll certainly, with
I mean,
more.
we're voting on water and sewer, not the entrance on 299, not the traffic studies. Like, water and sewer is not going to change the amount of traffic that goes in and out of here. In fact, like I said before, we wanted more traffic.
With my reading of our lawyers' advice and guidance.
He said we can take other things into account.
Yeah, Julie, you can take those things into account, but I guess what I'm offering to you is, are we gonna all dig down into those things? Are we gonna start attending the planning board meetings where these presentations are made? Or are we gonna depend on let me just finish, or are we gonna depend on our planning board to do their job, which is, they're gonna do the traffic studies, they're gonna make sure that buildings are built with, ecological materials, and they are. They're working on design standards. They're working on all of these pieces are being thoroughly vetted by a very able planning board. And I don't want to take their job. I don't want to take their job. I want to say, Tim, does it make sense for our sewer and water system to extend there? And the village has been really clear. I want to trust the people who know what they're doing to do their job. So that's what they're doing. And so why would we want to say, oh, we're now going to study all the pros and cons of this project from every angle? I would not be prepared to do that. I would never, if I was staying, I was like, I wouldn't be prepared to go down that road. I mean,
this is,
when the zoning board,
I'm also going to say,
yeah, go ahead.
We have voted to expand water and sewer districts many times over the last few years. No one has made a single public comment about any of them ever. No one's been brought up affordable housing. No one's brought up traffic. So we approved an escrow account for one at the last meeting. No one said a word. It was on the consent agenda, right there. No one brings it up. I have to really wonder why suddenly everyone's really concerned about water and sewer, but the rest of the project's fine to them, right? I don't understand.
The answer is because they don't want the project, and they see this project moving forward in the planning board process according to our zoning. And it is happening. It is moving forward in a procedural, careful, dedicated way. It is moving toward approval. In my eyes, it's like, and I'm like, wow, there's actually a process that is moving forward, and everyone is doing their job. And it's like, my job then as a town board member is just to look and say, what's our job here? Our job, we have the right to say, should we extend water and sewer? And and let's do the work to make sure we understand the ramifications of that part of this project. To me, that's not to say the lawyer's not saying you can also look at all these other things, but that's what we delegate to the planning board in my mind.
I just wanted to hop in here quickly as well. I've really appreciated this conversation. As I've heard Julie's points here, it's about whether we feel prepared to vote tonight. I just wanted to say for the record that I feel prepared to vote. I don't know how my other colleagues feel, but I believe that's kind of the crux of the question right now as she's presented it.
I feel prepared to vote.
I'm ready to vote.
I do feel like I'm ready to vote. I didn't before, but I do now.
So hearing that a majority of the board has also said that they feel ready to vote on this, and we've debated this item, if we're prepared to make a motion, I think that would make sense at this point.
I'm ready. We have two, so we have the seeker resolution has been posted on the website. It states the town of New Paltz is lead agency. Hereby issues a negative declaration pursuant to the requirements of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Make a motion to pass the resolution as written.
I second. That's the determination of non-significant secret
Yes.
for this decision.
Yeah.
I second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay.
Opposed? Okay. The next one is a resolution establishing the extension to number 1 of Sewer District 1. Resolution has been posted on the website again. To summarize, it states that A, the petition is signed, acknowledged, or approved as required by law is otherwise sufficient. B, that all property and property owners within the proposed district extension are benefited thereby. C, that all the property and property owners benefited are included within the limitation of the proposed district extension. And D, that it is in the public's interest to grant in whole the relief sought. In addition, it states that the construction and maintenance of a sewer system in said sewer district extension is at no cost to the town as stated in said petition. And is hereby authorized and approved. So the motion would be to pass the resolution as written.
I second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion passed. So number 7, motion to approve and authorize items 7A through 7I on the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion to approve the December warrant in the amount of $961,513.50.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's all we have.
Excuse
we have
me, sorry.
Yeah.
Did you take a vote on the extension of the water district, or did you do them both together? There were
We
two
did
separate resolutions.
2 separate resolutions. We passed both of them.
Okay,
3 to 1.
great. 4-1, right?
4 to 1, sorry. I can't
Thank
do
you.
math.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
There's an executive session on the,
Yes.
on the agenda. Is that not needed?
Um,
I thought that was
we-
the roast of David that we were doing in private for the final.
I mean, I was just going to update people on it. I think that we don't have to do it in executive session. We're not making any decisions. We wanted to thank Alana, our planning and zoning secretary, who's leaving. And we are looking into replacements right now. The idea behind it is that, and I've talked to both Trisha and Stacy about this. So between the building, planning, zoning, and the assessor's office, we had 3 part-time positions open because we budgeted for a part-time position in building to help out Stacy this year. Stacy is interested in, we talked last time, we talked about, sharing or looking for a full-time position because we think it's going to be easier to attract a full-time person. And so when I talked to Stacy and Trisha, they both agreed that it would make sense for Trisha to look for a part-time person for the assessor's position, and for Stacy to look for a person that will, a full-time person that will split their time between building and planning and zoning because there's a lot more overlap between those two. I just wanted to update the board and see if they had any thoughts on that. We were going to talk a little bit about salaries in there, but I can talk to you about that separately. So we don't have to go into executive session and, that's it. But if people have any thoughts on that, they're going to be looking for people to fill those positions. I just wanted to update the board.
Can I just ask Neil to replace Alana's position? She is part-time village planning board secretary and part-time town planning board secretary. Are we looking to replace that position as she's held it?
we would, we're looking to not split the position anymore with the village, that it would now be a split position between
within our
planning
town.
and zoning and building.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mostly because it's kind of hard to hire people right now, especially part-time. Stacy thinks that we'll be a lot more competitive hiring someone full-time, and we'll be able to keep them longer, and we won't just cycle through them. And we're trying to get people in and keep them here.
Yeah, we need a really capable person coming in to join our municipality at this time to fill these roles. We really do. Anyone who knows somebody who can really be organized in that way, especially on the planning board, really requires a lot of dedication and organization.
Yeah, and you're behind the scenes. You don't get yelled at like us. So
yeah,
I mean, you can join the planning board if you want to get yelled at and not paid.
Yeah.
This is the opposite. You don't get, well, you might get yelled at, but anyway. So that was all. I just wanted to kind of update the board on that. We can talk about salaries. They're worried. It's going to be hard. The starting salary is $15 an hour, and they're concerned it may be hard to find people. And I said I would, we'll see who's out there first.
So there'll be benefits. This will be a full-time position with benefits.
Yeah. That also, I think, sweetens the pot to make it easier to attract quality people. So that's all I have. But with that,
I just have to mention that 15 an hour is not going to attract quality people, but
there's a lot of concern about that. And I said, we'll see who's out there, but I may be coming back with some more to discuss.
Can I just urge you guys to see what we just did with our looking to fill our side of the position, because we combined 2 positions to make a full-time as well. So you might want to.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks again, David. I am gonna miss
Thanks,
seeing
David.
you at these meetings.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
David.
Thanks.
I learned a lot
Thanks.
from you.
I learned a lot from all of you too. Thank you so much.
All right. Motion to adjourn. All in favor.
No one wants to.
Yeah, no one wants to leave.
No, we're like stuck.
All right.
See you later.
Bye. Bye.